In an era dominated by echo chambers and sound bites, it's become increasingly difficult to engage in civil discourse, especially with those who hold differing viewpoints. And that's exactly what this platform is all about. Learning to speak with one another again, even when we vehemently disagree. You see, we've committed ourselves to fostering courageous conversations, and that means welcoming guests from all walks of life, even those with whom we might have profound disagreements. It's easy to preach to the choir, to surround ourselves with people who echo our opinions, but it takes real courage to sit down with someone whose perspective challenges our own. Now, some of you might be wondering why I joined Reality Check Radio in the first place. Well, the answer is simple. It represents a much-needed change in our media landscape. We've heard our hosts talking with politicians advocating for genetic engineering, dentists passionately defending fluoride in water, and leaders from the United Nations associated organizations arguing in favor of 15-minute cities. And guess what? Whilst myself and my co-hosts might disagree with many of those viewpoints, we firmly believe that presenting all sides of every issue is paramount. From day one, our motto has been to tell both sides of the story. And yes, we acknowledge there's always room for improvement, but make no mistake, it's our unwavering goal. Just recently, we received an email from Carolyn expressing her frustration with an interview featuring someone who praised a political figure she strongly disagrees with. She found it unsettling and disappointing. Well, Caroline, I've been waiting for this moment. This is our chance to illustrate what free media genuinely means. The Crunch provides the perfect opportunity to educate our listeners on the essence of open dialogue. If we cater to a particular narrative, then we're no different from the mainstream media outlets we often criticize. And let's be honest, if our audience expects us to hold their specific viewpoint, then they too have succumbed to the same polarization that plagues the media landscape. We're here to provide an open platform, a platform where every voice can be heard, regardless of whether we agree with it or not. It's not our job to tell you what to think. It's our mission to present the spectrum of thoughts and perspectives and leave it to you, our esteemed listeners, to make up your own minds. We firmly believe that the kind of polarization we're witnessing has contributed to the erosion of legacy media, politics, and even society at large. We're here to reverse that trend, one courageous conversation at a time. So, dear listeners, let's embrace the discomfort that comes from hearing opposing viewpoints. Let's engage in meaningful discussions that challenge us to think critically and broaden our horizons. Remember, it's the collision of ideas that sparks innovation and progress. As we continue our exploration of courageous discourse here on Reality Check Radio, it's high time we shed our tendencies to act like petulant and churlish children when faced with opinions that don't align with our own. Learning to engage with those we disagree with is the very essence of this show, and indeed it's a personal principle I hold dear. Our society has fallen into a trap where differing opinions are often met with disdain, ridicule, and even silence. But that's not how we grow as individuals, as a community, or as a society. Reality Check Radio, as well as The Crunch, embodies this ethos by confronting divergent viewpoints head on. It's about transcending the narrow confines of our echo chambers and venturing into the realm of open dialogue. Our mission isn't to convince you that we're right and everyone else is wrong. It's about encouraging you to think critically and make informed judgments for yourself. I have to admit, it's not always an easy path. Dealing with people we disagree with requires patience, understanding, and an open heart. It demands that we listen, truly listen to what the other person is saying, rather than merely formulating our response. It calls for empathy and respect, even when we're discussing subjects that touch our nerves. And in a way, The Crunch is a platform for honing these skills that are indispensable not just for intellectual growth, but for fostering a more compassionate and inclusive society. It's about realizing that no matter how different our perspectives might be, there's always a common ground to be found, or at the very least, a deeper understanding of where the other person is coming from. So as we navigate the airwaves, engaging in conversations that challenge, provoke, and inspire, let's remember that the real measure of our character lies not in how we loudly can shout down those we disagree with, but in how gracefully we can engage with them. Let's choose to rise above the noise and embrace the discomfort of diverse opinions. After all, it's only through these exchanges that we can truly broaden our horizons and collectively move forward. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Keep those radios tuned in and keep your hearts and minds open. This is Cam, reminding you that learning to deal with disagreement is a sign of strength, not weakness. Keep embracing courageous discourse.